Marcus Cole had not seen sunlight in 18 months. The cell aboard the Valkyrie mothership had no windows, no clocks, no way to mark the passing of time except by counting meals. He had stopped counting at meal 412. He was the last one. Lieutenant Chen had died 3 months ago, her body simply giving out from the wrong atmosphere mix. Before her, it was Rodriguez, then Patel, then the others. Not from torture. The Valkyrie did not torture. They simply did not understand that humans needed different things to survive. By the time they figured out the right temperature, the right air, the right food, Marcus was the only one left. So when the guards came for him that morning, he assumed his time had finally come. He did not fight. There was no point. His body had grown weak, and even at full strength, he could not have defeated creatures that stood 8 feet tall with 4 arms and armor-plated skin. They dragged him through corridors of living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Other Valkyries stopped and stared as he passed. He must have looked pathetic to them. A small, soft creature with only 2 arms and fragile pink skin. Prey, they called his kind, not as an insult, just a statement of biological fact. The throne room was vast. The ceiling disappeared into darkness above, and the walls were covered with patterns that hurt his eyes if he looked too long. At the far end sat a throne made of crystal that seemed to breathe, and upon it sat the most beautiful and terrifying creature Marcus had ever seen. Queen Sirathok 7 was different from the soldiers who guarded her. Where they were bulky and rough, she was elegant. Her chitinous plates shimmered like oil on water, shifting through colors that had no names in human language. Her compound eyes held galaxies within them, thousands of tiny lenses reflecting light in impossible patterns. For arms folded across her chest, long fingers ending in points that could probably pierce steel. She was also, he noticed, completely alone. No advisors, no courtiers, just guards at the door and empty space all around her. The translation device in his ear crackled to life as she spoke. Her actual voice was a series of clicks and whistles, but the machine turned it into something he could understand. "You are the last human from the vessel Prometheus," she said. It was not a question. "Yes. Your crew is dead because we did not understand your biological requirements in time." This was not intentional. Marcus laughed. It came out harsh and broken, surprising even himself. That makes it so much better. The Queen's antennae twitched. He had learned enough about Valkyrie body language to recognize surprise. They did not expect prey to talk back. "You do not fear me," she observed. "I've been afraid for 18 months straight. Eventually, you just run out of fear."
Oh.
She studied him for a long moment. Then she rose from her throne and descended the crystal stairs, stopping only a few feet away from him. Up close, she smelled like copper and flowers. Her eyes clicked and whirred as they focused on his face. "I have a problem," she said. "You are going to help me solve it, and if I refuse, then you die." I was going to die anyway. Try again. Something changed in her posture. Later, Marcus would recognize it as the moment she first found him genuinely interesting. At the time, he just thought she was preparing to kill him. "The Valkyrie bond in pairs for life," she explained, beginning to pace around him in a slow circle. "When we find a compatible mate, we bond. The bond is permanent. It shapes our politics, our culture, our very identity. A queen without a bonded partner is considered incomplete, unstable, unfit to rule. And your partner died in the same battle that captured you. His ship was destroyed protecting mine." Marcus processed this. "I'm sorry." The Queen stopped pacing. Her antennae twitched again. "You offer condolences to your captor? Grief is grief. Doesn't matter what species you are." She was silent for a moment. Then she continued her explanation. "In 30 rotations, there will be a conclave of queens. All 17 ruling queens of the Valkyrie Imperium will gather. Without a bonded partner at my side, I will be deemed unfit. My rivals will strip me of my throne, my fleet, my people. Everything I have built over 4 centuries will be destroyed. So find a new partner. Valkyrie bonds take decades to form. I have 30 rotations. Then what do you want from me? The queen stopped directly in front of him. Her compound eyes reflected his own haggard face back at him 1,000 times over. I want you to pretend, she said. Other species cannot read Valkyrie bonding signals. To outside observers, any partner will appear legitimate. You will stand at my side. You will play the role of my consort. You will convince the conclave that I am complete, and when it is over, I will release you, return you to human space. Free. Marcus stared at her. You want me to help you commit political fraud? Yes. Against 17 alien monarchs who could destroy my entire species, yes. You need a date to a party. Her antennae twitched sharply. That is a reductive summary, but essentially accurate. I should have said no. This was insane. One wrong move, and he would not only die, he would probably start an interstellar war. The smart thing was to refuse and accept whatever death came next. But then he thought about Chen, about Rodriguez and Patel, and all the others rotting in whatever passed for a morgue on this ship. He thought about their families back on Earth, waiting for news that would never come. I want my crew's remains returned to human space, he said. Proper burial. Their families deserve that. The Queen's compound eyes whirred as they processed his expression. You bargain, now? In your position, lady, I've got nothing left to lose. My crew is dead. My ship is destroyed. I haven't seen the sun in 18 months. You can kill me, or you can deal with me. But I'm done being helpless. For a long moment, she simply watched him. He could not read her alien features. Could not tell if she was amused or offended or something else entirely. Then she made a sound that the translator rendered as a soft laugh. You are either very brave or very stupid. Commander Cole, probably both. My own people cannot meet my eyes since my mate died. They look away. They whisper. They treat me like I am already gone. She tilted her head, studying him like he was a puzzle she could not solve. But you argue with me. You make demands. You show no deference? Is that a problem? No, she said slowly. It is exactly what I need. She extended one of her forehands. Her fingers were long and pointed, her palm warm against his skin. We have a deal, Commander Cole. Your crew will be returned to human space with full honors, and you will spend the next 30 rotations convincing the galaxy that you belong at my side. Marcus shook her hand, feeling like he had just signed his own death warrant. This is going to be a disaster, he muttered. Almost certainly, the Queen agreed. But it will be an interesting disaster. She was not wrong. The conclave station was called Kitharus Prime, and it was the largest structure Marcus had ever seen. It hung in the void between 3 star systems, a neutral ground where the queens could meet without fear of ambush. From the viewport of Cerithicus's royal shuttle, it looked like a city turned inside out, all spires and domes and impossible geometry. Remember what I told you, Cerithicus? Said beside him. Do not speak unless spoken to. Do not make direct eye contact with the other queens unless they address you first. Do not eat anything offered to you without checking with me. Half the foods here would kill you instantly. Comforting. And most importantly, she continued, stay close to me at all times. There are those who would love to see me humiliated. Killing my consort would accomplish that nicely. You really know how to make a guy feel welcome? Over the past 15 days, Marcus had been transformed. Valkyrie attendants had cleaned him, fed him proper food, and dressed him in clothes that marked him as royal consort. The outfit was uncomfortable but impressive, woven from materials that shifted color with his movements. He looked less like a prisoner and more like someone who belonged at a queen's side. He did not feel like it. The shuttle docked, and the doors opened onto chaos. The docking bay was filled with delegations from all 17 queens, each one surrounded by guards and advisors and servants. The noise was overwhelming. Clicks and whistles and sounds that made his teeth ache. Cerithix took his arm. Stay close, she repeated. They had barely taken 10 steps before the first queen approached. She was larger than Cerithix, her chitin plates scarred from old battles. Her compound eyes focused on Marcus's like weapons locking onto a target. Cerithix, she said, her voice grinding through the translator. "You actually came. We heard rumors you had bonded with something unexpected, but I assumed they were exaggerations." Queen Vethros Sirithox replied coolly. "A pleasure, as always. Is it true?" Vethros circled them slowly, studying Marcus like he was an insect she was considering crushing. "You bonded with prey? With a human?" The word hung in the air. Around them, conversation stopped. Other Valkyrie turned to watch. Marcus knew he should stay silent. Sirithax had been very clear about that, but something in Vethros's tone made his blood boil. He had spent 18 months being looked at like he was nothing. He was tired of it. "Prey doesn't usually bite back, Your Majesty," he said clearly. "I killed 37 Valkyrie soldiers at the Battle of Proxima Station. Perhaps we simply earned each other's respect." The silence became absolute. Sirithax's grip on his arm tightened sharply. For a moment, Marcus thought he had made a fatal mistake. Then Vethros laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Speaks," she said. "How amusing. I look forward to seeing how long you last, little human." She walked away, her delegation following like a dark tide. Marcus released a breath he had not realized he was holding. "That was foolish," Sirithox said quietly. "Did it work?" She paused. "Perhaps. Vethros expected you to cower. You surprised her? That may work in our favor, or it may paint a target on your back. So business as usual, yes. Business as usual." The following days blurred together into an endless parade of politics and danger. Marcus met queens whose names he could not pronounce and whose motives he could not guess. He learned which ones were Sirithax's allies and which were her enemies. He learned that Valkyrie politics made human politics look simple and kind. He also learned about Sirithox. She was 400 years old, which was young for a queen. She had taken the throne after her mother's death and spent 2 centuries defending it from rivals who thought her too inexperienced. Her mate had been her greatest ally, her partner in every sense. Together they had built something powerful, and then the war with humanity happened and everything fell apart. "I did not want the war," she told him one night. They were alone in their quarters, the endless social events finally done for the day. "It was Vethros who pushed for expansion into your space. I voted against it in the Council of Queens. I was outnumbered, but your ship still fought." "Yes. When the Council decides, all queens must commit forces. To refuse would be treason." She was quiet for a moment. "My mate died protecting my flagship from your weapons. Your crew died because we did not understand how to keep them alive. We have both lost to this war." Marcus stared at the alien ceiling above him. "Chen was my best friend," he said. "We served together for 6 years. She saved my life twice. Once on a station fire, once when my suit failed during a spacewalk. She never hesitated." "What was she like?" He smiled despite himself. "Stubborn. She argued with everyone about everything. But when things got bad, there was no one you wanted at your side more than her. She sounds worthy of respect." She was. They talked until the station's artificial dawn began to brighten the windows. About their losses, about their regrets, about the weight of command and the loneliness that came with it. Somewhere in those dark hours, something shifted between them. Marcus could not name it. He was not even sure he wanted to. But when Sirithax finally fell silent, exhausted from days without rest, he found himself watching her with something other than wariness. She had taken him prisoner. She had coerced him into this arrangement. By all rights, he should hate her, but she was also alone, surrounded by enemies, grieving a loss that her entire culture forced her to hide, trying desperately to hold on to everything she had built. She was not so different from him in the end. Just another commander trying to survive impossible circumstances. When she woke, he pretended he had not been watching her sleep. "The main reception is tonight," she said, stretching her forearms in a gesture that looked almost human. "Every queen will be there. It will be the most dangerous event of the conclave." "Great. Any advice?" "Stay alive." "I was planning on that anyway." She made the grinding glass sound that he now recognized as laughter. I am beginning to understand why your species has survived this long, Commander. You joke in the face of death. It's either that or cry. Jokes are more fun. She studied him for a long moment, her compound eyes worry softly. I am glad I chose you, she said finally. I thought you would be a useful prop. I did not expect you to be... This. This what? She did not answer. But as they prepared for the reception, Marcus noticed that she stood closer to him than necessary, that her hand lingered when she adjusted his clothes, that she looked at him with something in her alien eyes that he almost recognized. He told himself it did not matter. This was temporary. In 15 more days, he would be free. He was no longer sure he wanted to be. On the 20th day, everything fell apart. The great hall of Kitharus Prime was filled with every queen and their delegations. Thousands of Valkyrie packed into a space designed to intimidate all towering crystal pillars and echoing acoustics. Marcus stood at Cerithix's side, playing his role as he had for nearly 3 weeks. He had almost started to believe they might actually succeed. Then Queen Vethros stepped forward, and the universe shattered. Slisters, Vethros announced, her voice cutting through the noise like a blade. I have discovered a grave deception. Our dear Cerithix has made fools of us all. The hall went silent. Cirithax's grip on Marcus's arm turned painful. Vethros gestured, and holographic images appeared in the air above them. Marcus recognized the scene immediately. It was the throne room of Cirithax's ship. It showed him being dragged before the queen. It showed their first conversation. Every word of their bargain crystal clear for all to hear. 30 rotations. His own voice echoed through the hall. Then you are free. I want my crew's remains returned to human space. Do we have a deal or not? The recordings ended. The silence was absolute. This human is not her bonded mate, Vethros declared triumphantly. He is her prisoner. A prop. A desperate attempt to deceive this conclave and maintain a throne she no longer deserves. The other queens began to stir. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Guards moved toward Marcus and Cirithax, weapons raised. The penalty for fraud against the conclave is clear, Vethros continued. Death for the conspirator. Exile for the queen. Marcus's mind raced. This was it. The trap had been sprung. There was no escape, no clever solution. They were caught, or were they? Permission to address the conclave, he said loudly. The hall went quiet again. Vethros turned to look at him, her compound eyes gleaming with amusement. The prey wishes to speak before slaughter? She made a sound like grinding rocks. How delightful. Permission granted. Let us hear what desperate lies it can conjure. Marcus stepped forward, away from Cirithax. Every eye in the room focused on him. 17 queens. Thousands of soldiers, all waiting for him to fail. He had never been more terrified in his life. He had also never been more determined. Queen Vethros is correct, he began. Shocked whispers erupted. Even Cirithax made a small sound of surprise. I was a prisoner, Marcus continued. My ship was destroyed. My crew died. I was alone, weak, and afraid. And yes, Queen Cirithax asked me to pretend. To help her deceive this conclave. To be a prop. He paused, letting the words sink in. I agreed because I wanted freedom. I agreed because I had nothing left to lose. Every word in that recording is true, Vethros smiled. Then you confess. Guards, take them both. I confess to what I was, Marcus said sharply. Not to what I am now. The guards hesitated. Marcus kept talking, knowing that if he stopped, he was dead. Your people bond based on compatibility. You scan each other's neural patterns. You match psychological profiles. You ensure perfect harmony before you commit. It is logical, is safe. It is completely alien to how humans love. He began to walk as he spoke, pacing the open floor like he owned it. 20 years of command experience taught him that confidence could be faked. That sometimes the appearance of power was as good as the real thing. Humans do not scan for compatibility. We do not run tests or analyze data. We meet someone, and we feel something, and we choose them. Every single day we choose them again. Even when it is hard. Even when it hurts. Even when every logical part of our brain tells us to run. He stopped in front of Sirithx and turned to face her. I did not choose her when I agreed to this deal. I chose survival. But somewhere between that day and this one, something changed. She told me about her mate. I told her about my crew. We talked through the night about loss and grief and loneliness, and I realized something. His voice softened, but it still carried through the silent hall.
Oh.
She is alone, surrounded by rivals who want to destroy her, grieving a partner she loved for centuries, and instead of hiding, instead of giving up, she fought. She did something desperate and foolish and brave because she refused to let them win. He looked at Vethros. Want proof that this is not fraud anymore? Fine, release me. Open those doors. Give me a ship and send me home. I am a prisoner after all. I should want to escape. He spread his arms wide. If I leave, you were right. It was all a lie. But I am not going anywhere. Not unless she orders me to go. The silence stretched on forever. Marcus could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Then Sirithx moved. She descended from her position and walked to him, her footsteps echoing in the quiet. She stopped directly in front of him, close enough that he could see his reflection in her compound eyes. Slowly, deliberately, she placed one hand against his chest. Right over his heart. I can feel your heartbeat, she said softly. It is racing. I am terrified, he admitted. So am I. Her antennae twitched. But you are still here? Yes. Why? Marcus looked at her. At this alien creature who had started as his captor and become something else entirely, something he did not have words for yet. Because you asked me to stay, he said, and I choose you. She turned to face the conclave, her hand still pressed against his heart. The human speaks truth, she announced. I feel his heartbeat. It does not lie. What began as deception has become something real, something neither of us expected. She looked directly at Vethros. This was temporary. It is no longer. I choose him as he has chosen me. Challenge that, and you challenge me directly. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, slowly, the other queens began to shift. Some looked skeptical. Some looked thoughtful. But none of them moved against Sirithx, because for all their technology, for all their ability to scan and analyze and predict, they had just witnessed something they could not explain. A human offered freedom, choosing to stay. A bond formed not through compatibility scans, but through shared pain and unexpected connection. Vethros's compound eyes burned with fury, but she was smart enough to know when she had lost this battle. This is not over, she hissed. No, Sirithx agreed. It is not. But today you have failed. The guards lowered their weapons. The crowd began to murmur again, processing what they had seen, and Marcus Cole, former prisoner, current consort, stood beside his queen and tried to remember how to breathe. That was insane, he whispered. But it worked. Did you mean it? What you said. She looked at him with those galaxy-filled eyes. Did you? He thought about the question, about everything that had led to this moment, about the strange, impossible creature beside him who had somehow become the most important person in his universe. Yeah, he said finally. I did. Her hand squeezed his gently. Then we face whatever comes next together. War came faster than anyone expected. Within a day of the Conclave's confrontation, Queen Vethros withdrew her delegation. Within 2 days, her fleet mobilized. By the 3rd day, ships were dying in the void around Kithris's prime. Sirithx stood on the command deck of her flagship. The eternal vigilance, watching the tactical display with growing despair. Her forces were outnumbered nearly 3-1. Vethros had been planning this for years, gathering allies in secret. Waiting for the right moment to strike, the moment had come, and Sirithx was not ready. Cannot win a direct engagement, her admiral reported. If we retreat now, we may save 60% of the fleet. And lose everything else, Sirithx replied. My throne, my territory, my people, better to survive and rebuild than to die here. Marcus watched from the edge of the command deck. He was not supposed to be here. Consorts did not belong in military operations. But Sirithax had stopped pretending the rules applied to them anymore. "Show me the tactical data," he said. The Admiral turned to look at him with obvious contempt. "This is not your concern." "Human." "Show him," Sirithax ordered. The holographic display expanded, revealing the full scope of the battle. Vethros's fleet was arranged in a classic Valkyrie formation, layers of ships positioned according to ancient doctrines. It was elegant and efficient and completely predictable. Marcus studied it for a long moment. Then he began to laugh. "You find our destruction amusing?" The Admiral demanded. "No. I find your tactics insane." He pointed at the display. "You're fighting like this is a chess match. Each side moves, the other responds, everything follows established patterns. But that's not how you win a war. And what would a human know about winning wars? We've been killing each other for 10,000 years. We've gotten pretty good at it." Marcus turned to Sirithax. "Your ships have mining equipment, right? Asteroid fragmentation charges." "Yes. For resource extraction. They are not weapons. They are now." Explained his plan quickly. The Valkyrie listened in growing horror. What he was proposing violated every tradition of civilized warfare. It was brutal. It was underhanded. It was the kind of tactic that humans had perfected over millennia of mutual destruction. "This is barbaric," the Admiral protested. "The Council of War specifically forbids such methods." "The Council of War didn't stop Vethros from attacking a neutral station." "I don't think she cares about your rules anymore." Marcus looked at Sirithax. "Do you want to survive, or do you want to be honorable? Because right now, you can't have both." Sirithax was silent for a long moment. Around them, the ship shuddered as weapons fire struck the shields. "Do it," she said finally. The Admiral stared at her in disbelief. "My queen," I said, "do it. Follow the humans' instructions." What followed was the most one-sided battle in Valkyrie history. Marcus directed the operation from the command deck, human tactical instincts merging with alien technology. Mining ships moved into position, their crews confused but obedient. Asteroid fragmentation charges were loaded into launchers designed for something entirely different. Vethros's fleet advanced according to doctrine, expecting Sirithax to retreat. They did not expect the cloud of shattered rock that suddenly filled their path. The asteroids had been large enough to ignore. The fragments were small enough to slip through shields, and they were moving fast enough to shred armor like paper. Vethros's flagship was the first to fall. Her formation, so elegant and ordered, dissolved into chaos as ships tried to dodge debris that was everywhere at once. Mining charges continued to fragment more asteroids, feeding the storm of destruction. Within hours, it was over. Vethros's fleet was crippled. Her flagship was a drifting wreck. The queen herself was captured by boarding parties, pulled from her shattered throne room, and brought before Sirithax in chains. "How?" Vethros demanded. "We had superior numbers. Superior position. How did you defeat us?" Sirithax nodded toward Marcus. "I had something you did not consider. A human. One human cannot change a war. One human just did." Marcus stepped forward. He was exhausted, his hands still shaking from the adrenaline of combat, but his voice was steady. "You lost because you followed the rules," he said. "You expected her to follow them too. But the thing about humans is we don't have rules. Not really. We have suggestions. And when survival is on the line, we ignore them." He gestured at the tactical display, still showing the wreckage of Vethros's fleet. "You use mining charges for mining? We looked at them and saw weapons. You treat asteroids as obstacles. We turn them into ammunition. Every tool becomes a weapon if you're desperate enough. Every tradition becomes meaningless. If breaking it means you live another day." Vethros stared at him with something that might have been fear. "Monstrous," she whispered. "Maybe, but we're also survivors. And now, so is she." The other queens watched from their own ships, observing the aftermath of the battle with growing unease. They had seen Valkyrie wars before. They had never seen anything like this. The human had taken mining equipment and turned it into mass destruction. He had ignored 10,000 years of military doctrine and won anyway. In that moment, they understood something terrifying. Humanity was not just prey. Humanity was a species that clawed its way to intelligence through sheer, bloody-minded refusal to die. They did not fight with honor. They fought to win. And they could turn anything into a weapon. "Your human is dangerous," one queen transmitted privately to Sir Athax. "Yes," she replied, watching Marcus slump into a chair, his whole body trembling with exhaustion. "He is," but she was not afraid. She looked at this strange, small creature who had just saved everything she held dear, and she felt something she had not felt since her mate died. Safe later. When the battle was fully won and the prisoners were secured, she found him alone in their quarters. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands. "I killed a lot of people today," he said quietly. "I didn't even see them die. They were just dots on a screen. Numbers in a casualty report. They would have killed us. Oh no. That doesn't make it easier." She sat beside him, her forearms folding in a gesture of concern. "You are troubled by your victory. I'm troubled by how easy it was, by how good I was at it." He looked at her. "Is that what you see when you look at me? A weapon?" "No." She reached out and took his hand in hers. "I see someone who did what was necessary to protect the people he cares about. That is not monstrous. That is love. I'm not sure I know the difference anymore." "Then let me show you." She pulled him close, and for a long moment, they simply held each other. Two creatures from different worlds, brought together by war and desperation, finding something unexpected in the wreckage. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything. Don't thank me yet. Vethros has allies. This isn't over, no. But whatever comes next, we face it together." Marcus closed his eyes and let himself rest for. The first time in days, together sounded good. Together. Sounded like something worth fighting for. The war ended faster than it had begun, with Vethros defeated and captured. Her allies quickly surrendered. No one wanted to face the humans' tactics again. Within weeks, the conclave reconvened, this time with Sirathax standing triumphant and Marcus formally recognized as her consort. No queen dared to question their bond now. Peace negotiations began between the Valkyrie, Imperium, and the United Human Alliance. For the first time in years, the two species were talking instead of fighting. Marcus found himself at the center of these discussions, translating not just words but meanings, helping each side understand the other. He was good at it. Better than he had expected. His time among the Valkyrie had taught him how they thought, what they valued, what they feared, and his humanity let him explain his own species in ways that made sense to alien minds. Months passed. The immediate crises faded. Sirathax's throne was secure, her rivals either defeated or converted into cautious allies. The galaxy slowly settled into something that almost resembled peace, and then Earth called. The message came through official channels, addressed to Commander Marcus Cole, delivered by a human diplomatic shuttle that had been granted special permission to enter Valkyrie space. He read it in the privacy of his quarters. Alone for the first time in longer than he could remember. "Dear Commander Cole," it began, "on behalf of the United Human Alliance, we extend our deepest gratitude for your service in facilitating peace between our species. Your sacrifice and courage have saved countless lives." There was more. Talk of medals and honors. An offer of promotion. And buried in the formal language, a clear message: come home, Earth needed heroes. The war had been costly, and humanity needed proof that they could survive in this hostile galaxy. Marcus Cole, the prisoner who had tamed an alien queen and won a war with mining equipment, was exactly the kind of symbol they needed. He was reading the message for the third time when Sirathax found him. "You received communication from your people," she said. It was not a question. Her intelligence networks were very good. "They want me to come home." She was silent for a long moment. Then she walked to the window that looked out over the stars. "I have had my engineers prepare a ship for you," she said quietly. Human-compatible systems. Enough supplies for the journey. A gift for your people from mine. Marcus set down the message. You already knew what they would ask. I suspected. You are valuable to them. A hero, a symbol. It would be foolish of them not to want you back. And what do you want? She did not answer. But he could see the tension in her posture, the way her antennae lay flat against her head, the Velkari equivalent of trying not to cry. He walked to stand beside her at the window. My people need me, he said. Double quotes, yes. Human space is vulnerable. We're decades behind your technology, centuries behind your infrastructure. Having someone who understands both species could make the difference between survival and extinction. Yes, and you don't need me anymore. Your throne is secure. Your rivals are broken. The war is over. She made a small sound, almost too soft for the translator to catch. Correct. So there's no logical reason for me to stay. None, except he said slowly that I don't want to leave. Her head turned sharply toward him. Her compound eyes whirred as they processed his expression, searching for deception and finding none. I came here as a prisoner, Marcus continued. Then I became a pawn. Then a partner. He reached out and took her hand, 4 fingers wrapping around 5. I would like to see what comes next. Your people will have to accept a permanent diplomatic liaison. Someone who lives here, who understands both sides, who can translate more than just words. He smiled. I know a good candidate. He's already sleeping with the queen. She made the grinding glass sound that meant laughter, but it was wet and broken. Ah, you are certain? This is not a decision you can undo. Your world is far. Your life here would be permanent. You asked me for 30 days. It's been over 100. You keep finding reasons for me to stay, and I keep finding reasons to agree. He squeezed her hand. I think we both know what that means. I was afraid to ask, she admitted. Afraid you would say no. Afraid you only stayed because you felt obligated. I stayed because when I'm with you, I don't feel alone anymore. I stayed because you make me laugh. I stayed because watching you fight for your people made me want to fight beside you. He turned to face her fully. I stayed because I love you, even if I don't know exactly what that means between our species.
Ow.
She was still for a long moment. Then, slowly, she reached out with her other 3 arms and pulled him into an embrace that was awkward and strange and somehow perfect. I love you as well, she said. I did not think I could after losing my mate. I did not think there was room in my heart for anyone else. But you found space there anyway. They stood together at the window, watching the stars' wheels slowly past. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we build something new. A bridge between our peoples. A partnership that shows the galaxy what is possible when different. Species choose to understand each other. Instead of fighting, it sounds like a lot of work. Yes, but we face it together. Together, he agreed. I like the sound of that. 1 year later, the Treaty of Cerithix Prime was signed. It ended 3 centuries of conflict between humans and Velkar. It established trade routes and diplomatic channels and mutual defense agreements. Historians would call it the most important document in galactic history. Buried in Article 7 was an unusual clause, formal recognition of hybrid, consort bonds between species. With full legal protection across all signatories, the diplomats called it progressive policy. Marcus, watching Cirithox sign her name beside his on the final document, called it covering their bases. Cirithox, pressing her hand against his chest to feel his heartbeat, as she always did in important moments, called it love. 50 years later, Marcus Cole was 90 years old and still alive. Sustained by Valkyrie medical technology that had added decades to his lifespan. His hair had turned gray, and his steps had slowed, but his mind was sharp, and his heart was full. Cirithax was still young by her species standards. She would live for centuries more, long after Marcus was gone. They both knew this. They had always known it, but some things were worth the pain of eventual loss. Do you regret it? She asked him one night as they watched the sunset over her homeworld's purple ocean. Staying with me? Leaving your people behind? Marcus thought about the question. About the life he could have had on Earth, about the life he had chosen instead. Not for a second, he said. Your lifespan is so short compared to mine. When you are gone, I will have centuries of loneliness ahead of me. Maybe, or maybe you'll find another stubborn creature who refuses to be afraid of you. He smiled. The galaxy is full of unexpected connections. I should know. She made the grinding glass sound of laughter and pulled him close. You are ridiculous, she said. You love it, she admitted. I do. Above them, the stars shone bright and endless, full of dangers and possibilities. Somewhere out there, new conflicts were brewing. New challenges waiting to be faced. But for now, in this moment, there was peace. A human and an alien queen, sitting together as the sun went down, proving that the universe was stranger and more beautiful than anyone had imagined. She had asked for a temporary partner. She had found something permanent. And against all odds, against all logic, against everything the galaxy said was possible, they had built a love story for the ages.